All right, guys. Hey, Brandon here. This is wow. I guess that's episode 2 now going on. It's been a couple of weeks, right? So
2-3 weeks probably.
2-3 weeks. So I've got my brother-in-law Pat here. He's our acquisitions manager for Priority House Buyers. How you doing, Pat?
I'm doing good. Good to see everybody.
Good to see everybody. Now, wow, it's been a crazy couple of weeks, right? I mean,
It has, yes.
especially for us in Houston. I know we were out of town together at Disney World.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So that was a lot of fun, and then we came back, and it was the Arctic blast, basically. So
right before we left.
right before we left, kind of daring, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but man, I tell you what, I've never been in a situation with what occurred in Houston with the low temperatures and for how long they were and all the power outages. I think we've been through 6-7 hurricanes,
Something like that.
So what are your thoughts? What's worse?
Whew. The ice freeze was a little bit worse, I feel like, than the hurricanes, except the flooding. Well, it depends. Okay, if you take Harvey, that was worse. But next up, definitely the Arctic blast of 2020.
Yeah. Well, I think
2021.
I think more than anything, Houston, we kind of understand how to handle flooding, and even though it's not right, it occurs and it's going to occur again. But I think we kind of, as a landlord, as a house flipper, as an owner, I think we kind of know what to expect in the problem areas. With this freeze, it was amazing. We had houses. You and I drove all over Houston, emptied out some of the houses. We drained them all, and then some of the houses, I think we had 2 rehabs where we could not get to. We could not get to drain those waters off.
Sure, couldn't get valves to go dry or what have you.
We couldn't get them to turn. We basically left them to drip dry, and both those houses amazingly made it through. So, I mean, and one of those houses was down in Pasadena. I mean, a 1950s construction. There's no way in the world this house has insulation up top or even in the walls, and water was onto the structure for the whole time. I just had actually written that house off and said, done. Yeah. And I walked in and everything was bone dry. I had water pressure. And then we had houses that had heat, they had water, and then all of a sudden, boom, pipes bust. Sure. I mean, in my mind also, it was a little strange because I would have thought galvanized would have been the number one. I surprisingly saw a lot of copper pipes. I mean, talking to some of our plumbers, talking to our guys, it was interesting. But we got through it. The tenants all now have water back. It cost us some out of pocket money, of course. That's one of the things of being a landlord,
Sure. And one thing that a lot of folks don't realize is, as a landlord, you're trying to keep your costs down. So what do you have as far? You don't quite have some of the insurance help that a traditional person has, correct?
Well, yeah, it was not only insurance, because our deductibles are different. As a landlord versus an owner occupied, our deductibles are different. So they're high. It's a higher deductible. So all of our repairs, we had to pay out of pocket. I wouldn't have had a big enough claim, big enough damage to really get it to my insurance company. Yep. So, I sat down and made the decision we're just going to pay it out of pocket.
And how many houses ended up busting pipes? Just to give people an idea of what happens to a house flipper compared to maybe your, one house you own.
Yeah. So in total, we came up with 11 that had some sort of sheetrock fallen, pipe busted. I think Harvey, we had 13 houses.
That's what I believe, 13, yeah.
So it was interesting. I mean, and it was weird because I had crews, we had guys, but the one thing we could not get was what?
Supplies.
We couldn't get PVC. So I got tenants calling me, and what we did is we stopped our house flip of our guys, in the landlord world,
on the rehab side, stopped our house.
Right. That is correct, on the rehab. So, but anyway, man, we were able to finally get everybody up and going. So, that was a very interesting turn. So, but I tell you what, let's talk about some houses.
Absolutely. So, we've been pretty busy lately, and as we carry this list that we kind of keep of our houses, and I'm starting to see maybe your list is growing a bit. What is the cause of that?
Well, Pat's buying a lot of houses. I tell you what, first quarter here, we bought a number of houses. We're on a good pace for the year. So, I mean, last month was a really solid buy. We're just trying to continue that for March. And so Pat's giving me stuff about I'm not able to get the houses flipped out fast enough. So my side of the sheet is growing more rapidly than the purchase side. So, but tell us about some purchases. I know we've had a few on the board. I don't know what house we last left off at, but
I think the big thing is we ended up kind of right around the freeze, the week before, a week of. We actually closed out, I guess, probably the houses that we spoke about the last time. There in Kingwood, we closed it out actually before the freeze for the homeowner there. We went ahead and closed. When everyone was trying to shut down, we went ahead and closed that one for him. Same thing, Pecan Grove there. And then we actually contracted a house and then went out of town to come back to busted pipe that the homeowners didn't disclose to us.
Right.
So,
yeah, so we were able you saw the house before we left, correct?
I did.
The one in Baytown?
Like a day or so before we left. And then they actually sold to a wholesaler who didn't close.
Right.
And I kind of stayed on it and all. And while we were out of town in Disney, I reached out to the guy and I'd gotten the house in my email, which was interesting. That's always interesting. Got it in my email again and reached out and said, hey, I thought you already sold this property. And come to find out that no, he had 2 or 3 days left in his option, and we had to you had to work pretty quick there.
Yeah, so I mean, our offer's still good. It still stood. We closed in the amount of time we said we would. In this particular case, title was already in, so that's the big thing. It was just a matter of us having available cash to close the transaction. So, but we were able to work with the gentleman selling our house, create a new relationship there. And it was not a fit for the wholesaler market. They didn't have the money to close, and we did. So we were able to pick that one up out of Baytown. So
Baytown there, and we closed. Let's see. That's kind of what we got. Then we just got contracts in, is what happened. So we ended up. I think we spoke a little bit about the Vaseline lady last time. I did end up getting that contract after. Several months of kind of working it, we did end up getting the property.
So. Right, and she was kind of working through some health stuff and just kind of mental
health, and then she lost her husband.
Right.
So she was working through some grieving and all. And
sure,
anytime it's something like that, we always try to really not be too pushy.
Right,
so it's a little interesting of a situation. But yes, she did. Out and was like, hey, Pat, will y'all still buy the house at the price you said? And of course we did. So now we're going to close probably towards the end of this month. So.
Yeah. Now, what's the situation with that? Is there a large amount of items left in the house?
Most likely there will be, yes. Okay. A good bit of stuff left at it.
Is she taking that with her, or what's her goal?
So she's actually already bought a home. She built a new house out in Newport. There, so Newport, nice neighborhood there. So yeah, she built it. Really, kind of her dream situation. She's always telling me she's walking the trails and everything there. But yeah, so she built that house, and then, I think she's been planning to get the stuff at the house, but I think she's more and more just kind of giving up on it and take what's left there. And
take your valuables, take your memories, take your things that are important to you. Sure. If you can't take it all, and that's a little bit about our offer, right? If the offer has to include leaving the items at the structure, at the property, then we can, as long as we kind of know that up front, we can negotiate that into the transaction and be able to handle that, because that's stressful. I get it.
And more so than the money that we probably save someone, it's their time. Our guys are so trash out and everything. You're not going to move as fast as they are when it comes to doing this stuff. So, where it might take them potentially several weeks, to clean out a house, a few days, a couple days or so, we're normally done.
Probably a day or two takes me to clean out. I've had some bad hoarder houses, but I tell you what, we're not in there very long when we go to demo. Yeah. So what's the next one you got?
Well, we got that. I don't know if we talked about it last time, but we got another one there in Ridgemont, still working.
Okay.
Another deal in there as well.
And that was mailer, right?
Yeah, we got that from direct mail.
Okay.
I actually, no, that one was direct mail, and then the other one was actually from our cold callers.
Okay,
so,
sure.
And then we just landed one, I guess Monday, Tuesday this week, there in Missouri City.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a burnout. That one's going to need a
burnout
of work. Yeah. So for those who don't know, a burnout is a house that has caught fire, essentially. This one, kind of strange. Fire started in the attic rather than the kitchen. So normally the kitchen is just burnt to a crisp on these things and all. Right. It actually still had the cabinets. Yeah. So that was interesting. But of course you can't keep them. They're in bad shape. But
sure.
But yeah, so we got the burnout there.
In regards to the burnouts, there are more challenging. So I mean, this will be my 4th or 5th burnout that we do. You've got to go through the whole occupancy, phase. You got to make sure you get your occupancy permit if your county or local government issues you that at the end of it, because it's going to be the number one thing that's hard to get is power, right? Water you can usually kind of get on if there's a gas meter, fine gas test. But power is the number one thing that you got to kind of work through, because the guys can't work unless you got power. So, and if they've pulled that meter, you're going to have to go knock on the county. This particular property is not inside the city of Houston. So it'll be a county fully permitted job. I got to fill out my paperwork. I got to get my subs in and put all their license number and then let them go. So, but I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a challenging project. I mean, the good thing about this one, it's more the garage and a little bit of the structure. It's not like the whole entire house, right?
Sure. Yeah. And we traditionally will not buy a house that is more burned than it is still existing.
Right. That's true. That's true. So this will be, that'll be a good project. So, anything else? Any funny stories? Anything going on in the world of acquisitions?
Well, I guess we're still just pushing on, meeting with folks and everything. Our acquisition side has been pretty strong. We're producing a lot of leads. A lot of people are reaching out to us through our website, priorityhousebuyers.com. So a lot of people are reaching us out there, and that's been really good for us. I guess we're just kind of still playing through the market here and everything. Everything's been going pretty fast. So...
Right.
Funny stories. I don't know that I've run into too many unique situations the last couple of weeks.
What about that guy in Missouri City? It's a newer build, and that contract is out, waiting for it to come back. But why is he selling? Right, he moved. But what happened during the storm?
Sure. Yeah. So he has another house, and actually his plan was to do some cosmetic stuff to this property and resell it, but went through the storm and all. He had actually even turned off water to the house. I found out he had turned off water to the house, went through the storm and all. Well, after the storm, he goes back and he turns on turn back on the water at the street, and slowly but surely he started getting little holes and everything. Before he knew, there were multiple spots. That's galvanized pipe at that house, I believe.
Right.
But multiple spots. It ended up having some leaks there and all, and just the plumbing cost and the add-on to that. He doesn't have a lot of plumbing experience. Paint and carpet was something that he felt comfortable with dealing with, but not so much plumbing lines and everything like that. So yeah, rather than do that work, he did decide to kind of speak with us. Now, I've got the contract out there, but it hasn't come back in. He's been ghosting me for a day or so here.
Well, he's still reviewing it, weighing his options. So we'll see if that ends up coming back. So I personally think it's going to be interesting to see on the landlord side because you take into account COVID, right? And then you take into account if I had this tenant and then I had pipes bust. I just wonder what the landlord market is going to look like, because I can personally tell you that we had a tenant that's been with us a long time, and she was just looking to move a little bit closer to her job. Fantastic tenant, And she literally says, "Hey, Brandon, can I move out at the end of February?" Right. Sure. So she calls me at the end of February, goes, "Brandon, I've applied to 8 places. I can't, nothing's available. Either got a broken pipe or I can't get, landlords."
And this is a really strong tenant too. They're paying $1,800 or something a month for a rental.
Yeah. Verified rental incomes, never missed a payment, takes care of my property. She goes, "Actually, can I just end up staying?" And I'm like, "Yeah, fine with me. You pay on time, you maintain the property, and all that." But I just really wonder what the landlord market is. It'll be fun. It'll be, I know we often talk about like new or the homes we sell on the active market, right? How many homes are actively on MLS? How many homes sold? I've never done that analysis on the rental side. So it'll be.
I have not either, no.
I mean, I couldn't tell you how many homes are available right now for rent, and that'll be an interesting topic kind of going forward, and we'll just kind of see what's the results of that. So
Sure, yeah, because you got a mix of people giving up on rentals because they can't evict, plus they're having maintenance problems.
Yeah.
Coupled with no inventory with these folks.
Yeah. So, well, I tell you what, life as a rehabber. I guess I'll have to. I'm trying to think where we left off last time on the rehab side, but we more than anything, it's a lot of it's foundation work going on right now. Got the Baytown house that we closed on with the pipe bust. Foundation work is getting done on that. I think it's 13 to 15 piers. We've got the Richmond house,
Pecan
Grove area.
That would be a bigger pier job.
It's a bigger pier job, and we knew that going in. We had that particular case, we did have an estimate from a reputable foundation company here. We had a structural engineer go out and also then verify that work. Okay. And I mean, and the drawing was correct. I mean, I think it's going to need close to 30 piers. So, but that'll be a process to kind of get going on that one. I've got a couple roofs I got to get done. The Humble house is going to need a roof, the smaller one in Humble. And then we've also got to do what's the other one? I've got one more. I thought I had one more roof I had to do, but anyway. And then we're finishing up the bigger house in Humble probably next week. Okay. So AC's going in right now. That's the one that had the pipe that actually busted during the storm. We had one of our vacant houses actually bust. So we had to pull out all the flooring, but it was actually kind of funny. So the house did not flood full of water because the back door was all rotted out. So it created literally where the pipe had busted in the living room. It literally created a funnel for the water to physically flow out of the back to the patio. And we got extremely lucky there with that. So
nice.
But, we got,
and then I guess you got a house coming to market this week as well, right? A townhouse going to market.
Yeah, we actually that townhouse we've owned for a while. It's basically Derry Ashford I-10. It's a really good area. So it's a 2-bedroom home, but I mean for $170,000 for that area, I mean where can you find a house in Houston at that rate? So the other project we're wrapping up that is garage doors going on right now is going to be up in Panorama Village. So basically I did final punch out yesterday on that one. So, we got the granite in, new appliances, tile, new carpet, interior paint, exterior paint, a little bit of fencing. But a pretty clean job, kind of in and out on that one. I think probably 10 days. That'll look forward to going into next week. So that's just kind of what we've been up to. So
absolutely. So what was the highlight of you thought of the Disney trip? What was something that what was your favorite part of it?
Well, I hadn't been Disney in 30 years. Okay, so I'll start there. I was blown away. I mean, it really is a clean place. It's very well kept up, very well organized. I mean, The rides are fantastic. I think all the Star Wars ride, even though we didn't get to do the Rise of the Resistance at 7 a.m. trying to get into the stupid $1 billion ride, and it's kind of frustrating.
A little frustrating. Woke up for 7 to try it.
And then we
didn't make it. Then I tried again for 1 or 2, whenever it was, and that one I made it to the group screen where you got to highlight your people, but still didn't get in.
I mean, we're talking nanoseconds this thing fills up, and you were doing it 2 phones. So you had one as a timer phone when it clicked over, and then you had the login for the Disney phone, right, the app, and just couldn't make it through. So
didn't make it through. It was filled up.
But I'll tell you what, I was in Disney's incredible. I mean, I'll be back. I mean, fantastic. But I tell you what, Universal Studios blew me away. I mean, you're riding a ride inside a movie almost.
Sure.
I don't know how else to.
Lightsaber. We got to do the building your own lightsabers. If you ever
that's way cool. Yeah.
If you ever have that experience, that's a lot of fun. Quite a racket, but that's quite a lot of fun. And then I'd agree. Disney for family is great. If you have younger kids, though, or Universal is great and a lot of fun. If you have younger kids, though, probably Disney is a little bit more fitting. But both were a lot of fun. I couldn't believe how well they did and kept everything. Yeah. So even during COVID, we still had a lot of fun. So,
gotcha. Well, good. Well, I guess we'll kind of wrap up here. If you guys want to reach out to us at PriorityHouseBuyers.com, Pat would love to come out and talk to you guys, whether it's repairs, inherited houses, taxes. Find the money and fund the deal. So that's kind of what we do. So any more thoughts?
I think that's good. No, yeah, if you're interested in selling a house, definitely reach out to me. I'm available on Facebook. You can email.
We're going to wrap up the show, and as normal, you got to ask the question. What are you cooking?
His wife's mom's house. Okay. Yeah. Go over there. Well, I'm thinking that she knows I'm coming to pick up the brisket this morning. She did not.
I guess that is true. So here's what happened. So when the storm was coming, I'm thinking because the full prime brisket, and then I had tri-tip. I found tri-tip, which we don't eat very much tri-tip in Texas here, and it's hard to find. I mean, it's crazy. It's part of a cow. You'd think we Texans would know how to, we could get it, but we can't. Anyway, so I lugged up all my meat up to the house and then left without it because I didn't have a cooler. So I had to call Pat last night to come and get it to me so I can take it home today because this weekend – call.
That's the phone.
There you go. But this weekend we're going to end up cooking tri-tip, I think, right? Is what we decided.
Okay, yeah. I've never cooked a tri-tip.
Well, tri-tip, I think it's done very similar to steak. Yeah. So it'll be hot and fast, and then we'll see how it is. It's supposed to be pretty lean and tasty. So
and then Brandon, now he was able to score that brisket. I saw one at $42 for a big old brisket.
Well, you gotta watch your prices at HEB. You find a sale, you gotta grab them.
Yeah, I mean, $40 a brisket scoop you up a few.
Unless you hit your limited two. So
yeah.
But anyway, guys, thank you for hanging out with Pat, and I'm Brandon, and Priority House Buying Team. Please reach out to us, and you guys have a good day.